Was the Chinese Ponzi scheme PlusToken responsible for the massive pump and dump of Bitcoin throughout 2019? Let's look at the circumstances around this hypothesis and Bitcoin's price action. Also, now that we are nearly at the end of the year, let's also take a wider look at what Bitcoin did in 2019 and what can we expect moving forward. Hello, I am Adriaan for Bitcoin for Beginners. Before we start, please pause the video here first to read our full disclaimer. We are going to talk a lot about price today, but of course this is not investment advice of any kind, only infotainment and personal opinion. In this series, What's Up Bitcoin, we will explore major events and developments for Bitcoin. To start off the third episode of Season 1, we are going to do a recap of some of the remarkable events for Bitcoin, including its price action. One of the major stories that could be of significant importance is that of the Chinese Ponzi scheme PlusToken that was able to obtain 1% of Bitcoin's total supply. There is a theory that Bitcoin's major rally and sell-off, or in popular terms its pump and dump, were caused primarily due to the rise and fall of this gigantic scam. If you look at the research and articles that are written about it, it seems not unlikely that this might be a realistic scenario. After all, early 2019 we came from a low trading volume period and, as you can read here, the Ponzi operators got hold of even 1% of the Bitcoin supply, a huge portion of the total Bitcoin supply with almost $3 billion around the time, which was bought by the PlusToken investors and handed over to the scammers in return for their worthless tokens. Outside of China, we may not have been fully aware at the time that this Ponzi was becoming so big, as its main operations were in China, although a small portion of their business also came from outside China from different countries around the world. However, in China it was a very big organization that didn't only exist online, but also had events on physical locations and people promoting it in real life, like in this vegetable store where they placed this PlusToken advertisement. Before we continue with the story, if you like the content of this series, you can like this video and additionally subscribe to our channel to be updated when we release the other episodes of this season or of our other series. According to this article from BehindMLM.com, who also already wrote about PlusToken's Ponzi in 2018, Chinese media had reported the arrest of 6 of its top operators on June 27th of 2019. Note that a few others of the top operators have not yet been caught and are still at large. From the very same day, complaints appeared of withdrawal problems by PlusToken affiliates. Since then, withdrawals have not been possible and the Ponzi can be deemed as collapsed. Since the collapse of PlusToken, many have been following Bitcoin addresses that were tied to the scam that were holding the total of 200,000 Bitcoin. Those include blockchain analysis firms, but also people from the online community have been following where funds were sent to. There were some varying conclusions, but most likely part of the funds are being mixed to anonymize and parts have indeed been sent to exchanges to sell, mostly in batches of 100 Bitcoin each time, so indeed that can have added to negative price pressure for Bitcoin. If you want to read more background of the PlusToken scam, you can find a review on our site cryptocanary.app. I will leave a link to it in the description. One review there includes some links to articles that I also used for this video. By the way, if you do know of any other crypto scams, please sign up for Crypto Canary and leave reviews. This way we hope to bring enough awareness so less of us might fall victim to scammers. Go to cryptocanary.app. According to reports, the peak operation period of PlusToken was between March and June, which very coincidentally coincides with the major bull rally we had from April until June 27, the exact precise day the PlusToken operators were arrested. On June 26, the parabolic increase of Bitcoin topped at near 14,000, and as operations stopped at PlusToken on June 27 due to the arrests, the price already fell quite a bit that same day and has been in a downtrend ever since. The remarkable coincidence of the peak period of PlusToken and the bull rally seem to indicate quite a clear correlation. I think that if we can agree that the bull rally was indeed largely fueled by PlusToken, then also the sell-off of similar quantities of Bitcoin, though over an extended period, is also likely to influence negative price pressure. So I think the case for that seems credible. Even if the PlusToken operators weren't selling that much Bitcoin yet, the fact that the extra demand for Bitcoin abruptly stopped when PlusToken collapsed can also be reason enough for the price deflating since then. This is an effect that almost necessarily must happen after prices are overhyped and overextended without any foundation in reality and will lead to prices to gravitate towards their more reasonable levels. Now let us look at the bigger picture in 2019. And just for clarification, this will not be official technical analysis, only a summary of remarkable events, corresponding price action and a higher level perspective, also partially based on viewpoints from several other analysts. So in this chart you can see the parabolic advance over here, measured from the December 2018 bear market bottom, which accelerated from early April till its top on June 26 at almost 14,000. It was only interrupted by a flash crash on May 17, where one account on Bitstamp was responsible for the price tanking till 6,170 in less than an hour of selling, after which the price rebounded to 7,300 area. On other exchanges, the flash crash bottom was slightly higher. After the PlusToken collapse on June 27 and the simultaneous collapse of Bitcoin's price, the parabolic curve was soon violated. Well-known analyst Peter Brandt tweeted about this, and according to him, such violation may result in an 80% correction of the advance in a worst-case scenario. To be clear, he meant 80% from the 7-month increase since the 2018 bottom of 3,122. So, if you calculate that, it would mean that the violation of the parabola would take the price down to here, a price target of 5,275. Clearly, we have not been there yet. However, in the months afterwards, a massive descending triangle appeared in the chart. You can see that here. These have a high probability of breaking to the downside, which it did here, remarkably enough precisely one day after the launch of Bakkt futures, which we already discussed in a recent video. Reason that this massive sell-off and triangle break were triggered might have been a buy the rumor, sell the news effect, but also the Bakkt trading volume numbers were highly disappointing compared to what many anticipated as big walls of money flowing into Bitcoin. Now that didn't happen, might have caused the price dump. According to descending triangle official statistics, the normal price target would then be around 4,900, which is about here. With both the parabolic violation and triangle break as key events in Bitcoin's price this year, I have drawn a price target zone right over here, which I personally consider as a realistic bearish target to keep in mind as reasonable probability for the near term. As you can see by now, a downtrending channel has been established here, within the green trend lines. Which means the near-term bias is still bearish and the probability of lower prices is still quite reasonable, even though the price may jump unexpectedly like it did late October when China announced to go all in on blockchain. This had many believe that also included Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which is the most credible explanation for the 40% price increase in less than 24 hours. And that whole event happened right over here. When everybody realized that in fact Bitcoin was not included in what the Chinese government was saying, rather the opposite, the party was quickly over, and there you can see the effect again of overhyped prices with no fundamental justification. It will lead to the price to deflate back to normal, which in this case happened as well, eventually breaking a local support around 7,900, right over here, which led to the crash to the latest bottom of around 6,500. After that, the 7,900 area was retested again as resistance and then rejected. At the moment, Bitcoin is still consolidating in an indecisive phase, keeping us all in suspense where it will close at the end of this year. Another remarkable event in 2019 was the regaining of Bitcoin's market dominance. Until 2018, when Bitcoin dominance became as low as 34%, many believed it would never go back above 50%. Not only did Bitcoin go back above 50% in 2019, it even went further than that and topped at a 73% dominance in the whole cryptocurrency market. In conclusion, what do I think of PlusToken's effect on Bitcoin in 2019? I do think that the circumstances we explored suggest a high probability that the PlusToken climax and collapse have had a large impact on Bitcoin's price. It looks a lot like it had a great influence on the huge rally and prolonged period of selling offs that resulted in the current downtrending price channel in the charts. Furthermore, as outlook for Bitcoin, the major key events and trend structure lean towards a bearish outlook for the near term. If indeed the current 6,500 bottom breaks, it seems highly likely that we see much lower prices, and in that case I think the most reasonable price target is the set range between 4,900 and 5,275. Could it get worse than that? Sure it can, but many analysts are confident that it wouldn't go lower than 3,500, which means they expect that the 2018 low would remain the bottom. Is there also any bullish perspective? Yes, there is also good news, despite the near-term bearish trend and price targets. If we look at the closing price of 2018, which was $3,700, and if we assume that 2019 closes with 6,500 as its bottom or at a higher price, for example until the current price range, in that case Bitcoin will have made a return of 75 till 95%, which of course is an extremely positive result. On top of that, we can look at a multi-year weekly scale perspective, and then the trend is also still up. Just look at this chart. Here you can see the green trend line measured on the 2018 bottom and the latest 2019 bottom. As long as the 6,500 bottom and the trend line hold from now on and eventually be able to make new higher highs above 13,880, which is this line, a new bullish trend channel might be established. Even if we do reach the earlier discussed bearish target zone of around 5000, as random example around year's close, and then form a new bottom, the trend line would then still be upward, though with a slope of a lesser degree. As long as we don't make lower lows than the $3,122 2018 bottom, the larger trend remains positive. Only if we do fall below 3,122, which can happen just less likely, the new lower low would establish a continuation of a larger scale downtrend. In that case, a bull market may be even further away than ever. However, for the time being, let's assume that won't be happening just yet. And how about the coming halving mid-May 2020? Wasn't that supposed to grant us with a bull market soon? Perhaps yes and maybe no. In the last 3 halving cycles, the bull-bear cycle periods have increased each time, which means that for this halving the cycles may increase even more. Besides that, the major part of previous post-halving bull runs started well after the halving, which could mean that the next bull run might not even start sooner than late 2020 or even 2021. As you can understand, patience is going to be a key character attribute for the successful Bitcoin investor and hodler from 2020. To be honest, in my opinion, the best strategy for beginners and those that are inexperienced with trading is still just following the strategy of dollar cost averaging. If you want to learn more about that, a link to our explainer video about dollar cost averaging will be displayed here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to see more episodes of this series What's Up Bitcoin, subscribe to our channel to follow all the new episodes. Looking forward to see you all back for the next one. Take care and remember, don't invest what you can't afford to lose.